Hi market friends, this is Matt from Matt Market. Welcome to my infomercial for Pippin Run Farms at the West Shore Farmers Market. Pippin Run Farms is a popular produce stand selling locally grown apples and fresh produce. Owners of the business grow their own apples on their 25-acre farm. Chris Quarterson, owner of Pippin Run, invited me out to his local orchard to see the farm and learn the apple operation. I'm heading out there today to visit and learn about the apple business. Hey, who knows, maybe learn a thing or two about apples. Nonetheless, I invite you to come join me and come along. It'll be fun. I'm arriving here at Pippin Run Farms, where all the delicious apples are grown and picked. And I'm excited to see the farm in the orchard and to meet up with the group. Golden Delicious, these are today's picks, you said? And what these are your stamens. Okay. 97 these trees.
Yes.
So hi everybody, it's Matt from Matt Market, and today I'm behind the camera and I'm actually with Chris Quarterson, the owner of Pippin Run Farms and the Pippin Run stand at the West Shore Farmers Market. How you doing, Chris?
Very good, Matt. Thank you.
It's a windy day, so we might be fighting with the wind. So tell us, where are we walking right now, Chris?
Right now we're walking up through a block of stamen wine sap. We're getting ready to pick these this week, and they are really very nice.
A question for you, about how many apples can you harvest in a season from one tree?
Depends on the size of the tree, but a big tree like this can have up to 10 to 15 bushels in a good year.
And stamen apples, are they good for baking?
They're good eating, they're good baking, they make an excellent pie, applesauce, apple dumplings, apple crisp, but they're great. I just like to eat them as they are.
All right, so I'm gonna ask Chris to show us the proper way to pick an apple. So Chris, take us through a little demo here.
Okay, what you want to do is be sure that you get the hold of the apple with the palm of your hand. You don't want to grab it with your fingertips or you can bruise it. So you want to cup it in your hand, put your finger up against the stem, and pop it off that way. Preferably you want to get an apple with a stem. It'll hold up longer in storage that way. It's okay if it comes without a stem, but it's better if you can pick one with a stem.
Now I noticed you picked them by hand. Now, do you pick all your apples by hand, or
Yes.
do you have some? Okay, so your orchard is all
apples,
hand picked, right?
All apples are hand picked. Pretty much anywhere you get them, if it's a fresh fruit apple, it is hand picked. There is no shaking of apples. Even the processors don't want bruised fruit. So everything, when you get it in the grocery store or at the farmer's market, it's all been picked just like I showed you, by hand.
Oh, cool, I didn't know that. I can't help but notice as we're walking through, there's a lot of twigs. Is that for any particular reason, or?
Yes, that's from something called summer pruning, where we go through starting in late July, early August, and prune off a lot of the outside foliage that grew this summer that blocks the sunlight from hitting the apples. And you ideally want to get it done right before harvest so that they get these nice, cool, clear autumn days to put this beautiful red color on the fruit. Otherwise, they'll have a green back or be totally green if they're shaded.
Look at all these apples. They seem to kind of like have like a whitish film to that. Is it true that a lot of people assume that that's some type of spray or?
Yes. In fact, that's a common misconception. All fruit produces a natural wax. It's called cutin. It's produced in the skin of the fruit, and it's basically there for a couple purposes. It prevents dehydration and shriveling. It also acts as some barrier against rots and molds and other insects. And it will polish off on my shirt, and you get a shine out of it. Now it will dull out again in a few days due to oxidation.
See, I always thought myself that it was some type of insecticide or some to keep bugs out, but it's not. It's a natural process for the apple.
It is. You see all the stuff on the ground. That means they're getting loose. I hope it doesn't blow too much in the next few days. It'll knock them down. And once they hit the ground, they're worthless. We used to pick drops up 30, 40 years ago, but because of E. coli now, no one wants drops for cider. So essentially, if it hits the ground, it stays there. Chop it up and gets turned back into compost.
Coming up upon the Fuji apple, and they look like a slightly smaller apple, no?
They are, yes. It's especially this year, we lost a lot of our king blossoms due to the freeze in the spring. Mm-hmm. King apples bloom in a floret of 5. The first one opens first. It's the king. It will always be the biggest fruit. Then the other side blooms open several days after. Unfortunately, when a lot of this fruit was in bloom, we had 3 freezes and 2 frosts in about a 7-day period. So we lost a lot of our, what would have been our biggest fruit, and we have a lot of medium-sized apples as a result.
So if you happen to plant new trees, Chris, how long does it take from the time you plant the tree to the time it starts to bear the first fruit?
Its first fruit will be in about 2 to 3 years. Its first really commercial crop will be in about 4 years, and that's on a modern dwarfing tree.
This actually is an apple twig that we picked up off the ground, but just to give a point of reference that when a tree's planted, it's about this size, right?
That's correct.
And it gets to be about that size in about 6 years, am I right?
That's correct. These were planted in 2014. And they were
With plenty
that
of
size.
water and good fertile soil, you're good to go,
That's
huh?
correct, and keep the deer off of them.
You keep the deer. A lot of deer out these parts?
The tree's a little out of sync.
Yeah, so that looks like a bloom. Am I
is.
right?
That is a
So
bloom.
we have apples here, almost look like they're ready to be harvested, and right beside it, a blooming flower.
That's correct.
So what causes that?
I'm not exactly sure, but they will do it, especially Pink Lady, which is what these are.
Okay.
They will put a latent bloom out like this, and as pretty as it is to look at, it can actually be a problem because it can vector something called fire blight into the plant, which is a bacteria, which is ubiquitous, and it enters the tree through the blossoms. And so you have to be on the lookout for those. So when you see them this time of year, as pretty as they are, you want to get them off the tree.
So you have about 25 acres orchard.
That's correct.
How often are you out in the field?
Every day.
And what are you doing every day? I mean, obviously not picking all the time.
No, it's a year-round occupation. We start trimming pretty much as soon as the leaves fall off the trees after harvest, and that takes most of the winter, and then the orchard has to be cleaned up and get ready for spring.
When you're putting together a bushel, how many apples do you pick and in a bushel?
It's size dependent. On a piece of fruit about that size, that's about a 100 size, or
Okay.
100 per bushel. That would be maybe an 88, and this would probably be about 125.
Okay. That's a lot of apples.
It is. That's a neat standard.
So the ones you put up in the top rack are bad? They have like bruises or anything like that?
Deformities,
And they go all the way down to the cider bin. So these, there's no rot, but these are the apples that have spots on them and things like that. And these go to make cider, right?
That is correct.
And you ship these down to Dillsburg?
Yes. Down there has a custom pressing operation inspected by the state, and he does all of our cider preparation for us. Jonagold, something tart, small stamen, and when we top this bin out, we'll probably finish it out with Rome's or possibly Red Delicious. Again, they're not real sweet or real tart, and that will give it plenty of volume
good
and body.
quality.
Right.
You're saying about 80 gallons of cider out of this bin here.
Yeah, that's a 20 bushel bin right now. Apples are pretty juicy right in the fall, so you get about 4 gallons per bushel.
All right, don't mind my camera skills, but I'm with Chris Quarterson, Pippin Run Farms apple orchard, and you guys can come out and get their fresh apples at the West Shore Farmers Market. They have a beautiful stand there, and this is a great time of year for apples, apple picking, apple eating,
Apple
cider, and pie making. Chris, thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate
Thanks for having us out, and come see us next time on Matt Market. See you later. So what do you use the stamen apples for?
It's good eating, or you can make pies, make sauce, apple dumplings, apple crisp.